And I went to my then assistant, Jonathan Schwartz, who's now in Australia producing Shang-Chi and the Legend of the Ten Rings that goes into production in a few months.
Are there any current plans on bringing more LGBT plus characters into the MCU, specifically the T trans characters?
Yes, absolutely, yes.
Awesome.
And very soon. In a movie that we're shooting right now. Yes. Doctor Strange, the next Doctor Strange film, for instance, features some new MCU characters that will be making their debut in that movie that you won't expect or won't guess who it is, but we found a cool way to make it work because we needed a particular, we will want to make a particular type of movie there, and there was a character we always wanted to do something with who we think will fit really well there. Like Shang-Chi, we've wanted to make that movie for a long time. We want to make a movie with a 98% Asian cast. And then you talk about, as you develop the movie, what other heroes can you bring into it if you need them? And in the case of Black Panther, it was the greatest thing that ever happened.
And who would be the strongest Marvel hero?
As of EndGame?
Yeah. Or as of Far From Home. I mean, it's the latest one. Up to you. I don't think that changed much.
Well, I think it's interesting if you look at EndGame, Wanda Maximoff was going to kill Thanos. Yeah. If he hadn't desperately, that's as scared as I've ever seen Thanos. And if he hadn't said, decimate my entire team to get her off of me, I think she would have done it.
Told you guys.
And
I've been saying that. Okay, thank you very much.
It happened the other day with an actor. If there's an actor we want for something, they come in, you give a big pitch, and you can sort of tell they're not into it. I guess I'm a failure. I'll show them. We'll cast somebody even better.
So it was at San Diego Comic-Con this year when it was announced that Doctor Strange and the Multiverse of Madness was going to be kind of a horror movie. What other genres do you want to explore in the upcoming Marvel movies?
There are lots, and it's sometimes too simplistic to just call it one movie. You know, Shang-Chi is going to be so much more than a kung fu movie, but it has elements of that, which is we're excited about. Multiverse of Madness is the greatest title we've ever come up with, by the way, which is one thing that's exciting about it. And I wouldn't necessarily say that's a horror film, but it is, as Scott Derrickson, our director, has pitched it. It'll be a big MCU film with scary sequences in it. But that's fun. It's fun to be scared in that way, and not a you know, horrific, torturous way, but in a way that is legitimately scary, because Scott Derrickson's quite good at that, but scary in the service of an exhilarating emotion. And there are lots of other ones that I don't want to say too much because it then will indicate, you know, future things we're doing.
What is good, YouTube? Stu here with a video on the future of the Marvel Cinematic Universe. So just as I've been saying, there's been no Marvel news. Kevin Feige talked about every single thing that's coming up in Marvel. So now there is a lot to talk about. So in the video clip I inserted before this video, you would have heard Kevin Feige talk about so many different things. Now we're going to focus on what he said about Doctor Strange 2, which is very interesting because it's almost like they're backtracking from what they said at San Diego Comic-Con back in July in San Diego. So if you're new to this channel, make sure to subscribe to never miss any of the videos. At the 100,000 subscriber mark, I will be giving away a PS4 Pro or an Xbox One X or a Switch. All you got to do is subscribe to the channel as fast as you can, turn notifications on, and tell everyone else to subscribe. So let's get into this video. So Kevin Feige says Doctor Strange 2 isn't quite a horror movie, which is interesting. And also he's teasing a surprise new character. Now, what is interesting is director Scott Derrickson teased at San Diego Comic-Con it will be Marvel's scariest movie. But he didn't necessarily say it was a horror movie. I wouldn't necessarily say that's a horror film, but it is. As Scott Derrickson, our director, has pitched it, it'd be a big MCU film with scary sequences in it. So the problem we have here is the MCU problem is, unless you're going to make R-rated content. Now, can you think of one single epic horror movie that was PG-12? in UK, like PG-13. No, isn't 15. So you can't really do a proper horror movie without said movie being at least a 15. So we found out that this movie isn't actually going to be a horror movie at all. It's just going to have a big horror scary sequence. The way when I was a kid in the 80s, Spielberg did an amazing job. He continued, I mean, the horrifying sequences in Raiders that, as a little kid, would cover his eyes. When their faces melted, or Temple of Doom, of course, or Gremlins, etc. These are the movies that invented the PG-13 rating, by the way. It's fun to be scared in that way and not be horrified, torturous way. Feige said, but in a way that's legitimate scary, but Scott Derrickson is quite good at it, but scary in the service of emotion. So that is very interesting. So we find out this movie is not a horror movie at all. So recently at the NYFA talk, Kevin Feige also said the Doctor Strange film, for instance, features some new MCU characters which will be making their debut in this movie. You won't expect, you won't guess who it is, he said. But we found a cool way to make it work because we want to make a particular type of movie there. And there was a character who we've always wanted to do something with who will fit very, very well. So we know this movie is going to introduce the multiverse in a real way because everyone thought the Spider-Man Far From Home was going to do that, but it didn't. So everyone initially thought that Nightmare, you know, the dude that crawls up into your nightmares and feeds off the fear that you have. No, so it seems like that's not going to happen at the moment. So a character who essentially could be introduced into the MCU is Mephisto. Maybe they could be going the Mephisto route. So he's the Lord of Lies, the devil. Mephisto is Fiege, an evil demon who steals souls and tortures them in his hell-like dimension. Father to Blackheart. So maybe Mephisto could be who they're on about. People have wanted Mephisto since the age of dawn of the MCU, and Mephisto is a character that no one thinks will ever appear in the MCU, although he is a very powerful character and a very popular character in his own right. Now, I'm not saying they're going to include Mephisto in this movie, but if they did have Mephisto, I would gain a lot more respect for the MCU and for Kevin Feige for them having the balls to add Mephisto. But as it's called the Multiverse of Madness, we could have loads of different characters. We could have Nightmare. The villain still could be Nightmare. But the fact that Kevin Feige said no one is going to guess it. No one. They've wanted to do it for such a long time. They've found a way to do it. Well, it is the Multiverse of Madness. So it could be interesting. And it is interesting that Kevin Feige is speaking openly about such things now. As we know, this is a 2021 release. So just like Spider-Man 3 is shooting in the summer, Doctor Strange 2 is going to have to shoot some point 2020. As of the time of recording this video, it probably will be 2020 by the time you watch this video, or it will be close. So guys, let me know down below. Do you think Mephisto is going to be said character in the MCU? There is a tease. He's teasing new characters. Not a new character, right? You gotta actually read what your boy Kevin Feige said, teasing new characters. He said this: sometimes you're choosing a title hero, choosing which main character or main team you want to bring to the screen. And oftentimes it's as you are making and developing a movie, asking who will come into it and who will fit into it. The next Doctor Strange film, for instance, features some new MCU characters. Now, I've seen some people talking about an MCU character, but no, Kevin Feige said characters as in plural, as in more than one new characters in this movie is going to introduce so many new movies. Doctor Strange 2 is literally going to rip the multiverse in half and shatter it. You won't expect, you won't guess who it is, but we found a cool way to make it work because we want to do something particular with this movie. And there was a character we've always wanted, aka your boy, no, Mephisto. So it is interesting. So guys, let me know down below, who do you think these new characters are going to be? I'm not expecting anyone too crazy, but Mephisto would be freaking insane. We know everyone thinks they're going to add Agatha Harkness in, technically, I guess you say WandaVision, Doctor Strange 2, and Nightmare. Add Mephisto into that, and that is some pretty cool stuff, because you got to think, they've got Scarlet Witch, who Kevin Feige said in the same interview is the strongest, most powerful character they've ever, well, he didn't say that, he said that about Captain Marvel, then he backtracked. He said she is the strongest Avenger. So you've got Doctor Strange and you've got WandaVision. No, you've got Wanda. So that is two really strong heroes. So you've got to have two really strong villains to counteract this. Now, I don't know if they could do Mephisto and Nightmare in the same movie, bringing Dormammu back, but that would be pretty insane if they did have all them characters in the same movie. So it is interesting how they are going forward and how Kevin Feige is openly talking about new characters in the Marvel Cinematic Universe this early down the road. And let's go over some other points that he brought up in this very same interview. So he brought up a subject that I brought up briefly in yesterday's video about Marvel, Kevin Feige wanting to pitch an idea to a certain actor, a big Hollywood actor, and he basically said you pitch it to him and he feels like a failure because he tried to get a really big actor in, but they really weren't interested, which is interesting. So that tells you, as big as Disney and Marvel are, there are some characters and some actors that just don't want anything to do with the MCU, and I completely understand, because if you take a role in the MCU, it goes bad, it can ruin your career, but if it goes good, you can be typecasted, not be casted anything, as you known as a certain Marvel character, so it can either go good or bad for you. So seeing as Kevin Feige said there's going to be new characters in Doctor Strange 2, who do you want to come to the MCU? Because it seems now that Marvel are not scared to include any characters. They're even including Dracula in the MCU, Blade. It's gonna get freaking insane in this movie. It literally could be Dracula. Dracula could be one of these characters, because Kevin Feige said, you don't know who it is, you're not going to guess, but they always say that. Literally everyone guessed everything about Infinity War and Endgame, so it's going to be really interesting to see what happens going forward in this movie when they get shooting and then when we get to watch the movie. So like always, guys, please like, subscribe, and comment. I'll keep you up to date with all the latest and greatest Marvel, DC, pop culture based news, and I will catch you in another video very soon. But guys, please hit the notification button, subscribe, and follow me on Twitter, Twitch, Instagram, Facebook, and everything, and that'll be cool. And I hope you have an awesome 2021 or New Year's Eve, depending on when this video gets posted. So anyway, guys, I'll catch you in another video very soon. Catch ya later.